What's going on, my broskies? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. Today we're finally going to go ahead and have a look at the brand new level limit breaks that are arriving to One Piece Treasure Cruise. And this is an interesting batch because, you know, we've got V2 Zora and V2 Mihawk, which these characters are focused around slashes. We have another slasher in 6+ Cracker, and I mean, technically, V1 Inu, well, he is a slasher. He's not really focusing on boosting slashes, but he is a slasher nonetheless. Now, I feel like they probably did this to coincide with the release of K-Dad, you know, Kinemon Denjiro, Ashura Doji, Dogstorm. Makes a little bit of sense, but at the same time, we still have V1 Mihawk that doesn't have a level limit break yet. So I do feel like that is a little bit of a weird choice, but despite that, let's actually go ahead and start breaking down these units. So shout out to Godot and everyone in the community for compiling this here. We have a lot to talk about. So we've got V2 Zora. Now this character did receive a 6+, and it made him better, but he still really didn't see a lot of play. One of the big things with slashes that really hurts them is that they have a lot of overlap with each other, where they've got a lot of Mihawks, a lot of Zoras, a lot of these characters that will show up a lot in the same class. And I mean, it's the same with shooters as well. Like, there's lots of Aces, there's lots of Usops, and it's a big problem that some of these lower tier classes have, where, you know, with Powerhouse and Free Spirit, you have such a wide variety of characters that you can fulfill in those classes. So let's see what they've got for these slasher buffs. I'm very interested, right? So there's two different types of captains. You get the base level limit break captain after you get him to level 3, but then you've got that plus the addition of the expansion. So let's just read the expanded captain, because that's the only one that really makes a big difference. I mean, yeah, level limit break captain you'll probably still use, but the limit break plus one is the real deal. So this one reduces slashes cooldown by 2 turns, which is actually very good. Again, K-Dad actually have that as well, so that's really nice to see. Boosting the attack of slashes by 4.5, 1.5 health, 10% damage reduction, greatly boosts the chances of getting dex and int slots and makes them beneficial for slashes. And then if you have a dex or int slot, boost their attack by 5.4 instead. And you see if it's a 4.95 without the limit break expansion. It's a pretty big difference actually. If you are opting to use him, you would want him to be expanded. This is a good captain though. If you're running a slasher team, this is definitely something that you could abuse. Of course, one of the biggest issues though is the fact that you need to have dex and int slots in order for you to get the 5.4 boost. And especially if you're trying to aim to do as much damage as you possibly can, you know, you probably want to use Wano slots, or if you just want to change all your slots into matching. If you have a unit that isn't dex or int, you don't get the full benefit of that. So there's obviously still issues that will arise if you do opt to use Zora. At the end of the day, he can still be a 4.5 boost to slashes. He still provides -2 cooldown. He has a lot of HP, a little bit of damage reduction, which kind of doesn't really need to be there, but honestly, it's a decent captain. And then the special ability, 200 times attack and types damage to all enemies, makes recovery 10 and beneficial for 3 turns, changes all slots including block into int for the right and dex for the left. Okay, that's a way that he fulfills that issue with his captain, so that actually is fine. He boosts the attack of slashes by 2.25, and if during that turn you score 3 perfects, you boost 2.5 for the following turn. And then if Mihawk or Perona is on the crew or set for the support character, doubles the color affinity of slashes 2 times for 3 turns. Okay, this is actually really neat. I like the way that they're going about this. I assume that the Mihawk will have a very similar structure to this, in that, you know, potentially with the added support thing might be a thing. But the fact that this character does the full board orb change is really strong. But the fact that he is built in such a way where you ideally want to use his special ability on a mini boss, hit your perfects, and then in the last stage you get your bigger attack boost. But of course that doesn't actually occur if you, well, it'll occur, but the thing is the getting the slots, the dex and int slots, to make sure he gets the 5.4 boost instead, which means you probably have to abuse all blocking or slot change impossible mechanics. So it's a bit of a weird one, that's for sure, but I think it's a good buff. I just don't really see too many situations where this guy's going to be good. Obviously, he's going to be really nice in the upcoming Grand Voyage. I would assume this character is going to be the most essential character to be bringing for that quest. So we'll have to wait and see how that kind of goes. But this guy seems pretty strong. And then the rumble stuff, I'm not really too concerned about it. His rumble stuff was never good, and they don't really give these characters good rumble buffs anyway with the level limit breaks, which is really unfortunate. But let's go ahead and have a look at Mihawk now, who's the next one. This is another character with a limit break expanded captain. Now, one thing I can see straight away in the first line, his level limit break captain says you need to have 5 or more slashes, but the limit break expanded captain, you only need 4 or more slashes. So that is a huge buff. I hate this condition in general. It really sucks. But the effect still gives, what is it? Reduced cooldown by 2 turns at the start of the quest. Very similar to the Zora and the K-Dad, of course. And then it's only 1 turn with the base captain. He does the 4 times chain boost. So yeah, he's a chain boosting captain, which is not ideal. I'm not really a big fan of chain boosting captains, never have been, and I don't think I ever will be, to be honest. Especially characters that are mainly focused on this mechanic, and then they only give a very minor attack boost. So going from 1.8 to 1.85, I believe the base unit was like a 1.5 attack. So it does provide a lot of damage because the chain multiply growth rate multiplying with the slasher attack boost, it does make a big difference. 1.5 health as well. That's actually really good. Because the base captain actually doesn't have any HP boost, but then the expanded captain adds 1.5 health. That's incredible, actually. And then boost chance of getting dex and int, 15% damage reduction. If this character taps with a dex or an int slot, sets all enemies' defense to 0. That's a cool effect. You know, if you're against an enemy that has that like high defense, low HP kind of mob, you can just instantly reduce all their defense to 0 and get through it really quickly. I think that's really cool. I think that'll probably help a lot for mob stages specifically. Mobs that have like relatively high defense. Against boss stages for sure, you can use this and abuse this to get like defense down conditionals to proc. It seems cool. He seems actually really neat. And then the special does 25% health cut to 1 enemy, and then boost orbs of slashes 2.25, locks slots for 1 turn, and after 1 turn, 2.5 orb boost. If Zora or Perona is on the crew or set as a support, boost base attack by plus 1000 for 3 turns. So it's no real surprise here that the Mihawk and the Zora work very well together. I don't actually know who I would prefer to use as the captain. I mean, they're pretty similar, very minor differences. I don't like the chain boosting captain mechanics of Mihawk, so I'd probably opt for double Zora captain with the Mihawk sub. But it is what it is. I think these characters work very well together, but again, I don't think this is going to be a character that sees a lot of play. And the fact that this character is a dex unit means that this character is not probably going to be ideal for the Grand Voyage. So I don't really know what they're aiming to beat the Grand Voyage with. We'll have to wait and see how that kind of goes. We've got Dogstorm next. So Dogstorm is interesting because they've made some really interesting changes with him. He reduces cooldown by 2, boosting the attack of Cerebral and Psi characters by 4.25. We'll come back to that in a moment. Strength, Dex, and Quick slots are beneficial to Psi and Cerebral, and if he is below 30%, you boost the chain multiply growth rate by 1.5. So one thing that really stands out with the captain, of course, is the fact that now he boosts Psi characters. Now, a lot of people are going to say, wait, that doesn't make sense because he is a strength unit, and that does make sense. However, they've done this specifically so that you can actually boost Neko on the same team, because we can just quickly have a look at Neko, who is a striker captain initially with level limit break, now boosts striker and strength. So now you can use both Neko and Inu on the same team, even though, you know, both of them are not striker and cerebral, etc. And it's weird. I don't know why they did it that way, but it's cool. It's kind of neat. The special ability reduces his health by 80%. He cuts one enemy's health by 20%. 200 times his attack is tap timing bonus damage for 3 turns, and then percent damage reduction removal by 6, and chain boundary 2.25 to 35 for 3 turns, and reduce 90% of damage over 3,000 for 1 turn. So I do like the fact that even though he does the health cut, he does provide damage reduction on top of it, which is good. He removes 6 turns of enemies' rainbow shield, and then the tap timing bonus and the chain boundary lasting for 3 turns. I think this guy could definitely see a lot of play as a crewmate just due to the fact that he provides really good offensive capabilities, he's got utility, and he can add a pretty good amount of damage on top of whatever you're trying to do. He is a strength / a cerebral, so I don't know too many teams you would probably want to opt to use him for, but the special seems pretty solid, to be honest. I like the special. And then we've got Cat Viper, which, as we said, he now boosts strength and striker. He does a health boost. He's a 5 times boost to the strength and striker characters. He slightly boosts the crew's chance of landing on type slots, and now his captain effect does not require you to land on those slots to actually get the attack boost. Previously, he only provided the attack boost if you landed on a type slot or a rainbow slot, so they've gone away with all of that, which is a big beneficial effect. effect, and then he makes their sign-in slots beneficial. So if you actually run a hybrid setup with these guys, you can make all your type slots matching, which I guess is kind of cool, but realistically, I don't think running a hybrid setup with these two makes a lot of sense. I guess you could do some pretty cool stuff with that, as you could boost, like, you know, strength, psi, striker, cerebral. It's interesting. And then he also reduces damage taken by 10%, and if you're below 30% HP, he adds 0.3 to the chain multiplier. So again, you can do some really cool stuff with chain multiplying boosting, and then also the chain addition effects inbuilt to the captains. It's interesting, but again, I don't think he's going to see a lot of play as a captain. Special does damage to one enemy, makes type slots beneficial to striker and strength units for 1 turn, boost the chain multiplier by 1.5, and 6 turns of attack down and bind removal. That's a huge update. I believe previously it was only 3 turns, going to 6. 6 turns of bind and attack down removal is really good, because not only do you get that, but you also get a really good offensive effect of boosting your chain multiplier. The beneficial slot effect only lasts for 1 turn. I wish it was for 2 turns, so you can get around enemy effects over multiple stages. That would have been really wicked. But I actually like the change. I think so far, this has been probably one of my favorite ones, just due to the special ability change alone. I like what Zora and Mihawk were aiming to do, but I think that slashers in general, they're a little bit of in a weird situation, so I don't think I like them that much. Inu's is interesting, but I really like Neko's. I think that's actually pretty good. The final character here is Cracker. Now, I do know what Cracker does, and I have to say that this is probably one of the most underwhelming level limit breaks that we've received thus far. So the captain ability is -1 cooldown, which I believe is new. Then he boosts the attack of Powerhouse by 5 times, and then boosting the health of Fighter, Slasher, Striker, Shooter by 1.65, and then makes their sign-in slots beneficial. So they've added the sign-in slots beneficial, the -1 cooldown, and instead of being a, I think it was a 4 times or a 4.25, it goes up to 5 times, and then the health boost I think also slightly increased. But what they've mainly done is cooldown a little bit of slots and then slightly higher numbers. They haven't added any additional gimmick or mechanic in his captain, which is pretty underwhelming. I really hope we do get a V2 Cracker at some point in the future. No, I don't mean the Sweet Commanders, but like a brand new solo Cracker legend. I think he deserves it, and I think that they could really abuse his Devil Fruit and build some really interesting mechanics around it. So pretty underwhelming in terms of what they've done with this guy. Of course, he doesn't have a limit break expanded captain, which really does hurt him too. But his special ability also really didn't receive a lot of buffs. He does a 15% health cut, he changes the same slots, including his own slot, into matching, and if your captain is one of the 4 primary classes of Fighter, Slasher, Striker, Shooter, you get a 1.3 chain boost for 3 turns, and then if you have your captain be one of the other classes, Free Spirit, Cerebral, Powerhouse, or Driven, you get a 2 times color affinity for 3 turns. So again, they really haven't done a lot here. All they've really done is up the multipliers. The chain multiplier is more significant. I believe the color affinity actually didn't change at all, but I believe the chain boost and the color affinity only lasted for 2 turns previously. So now it lasts for 3 turns, and you can carry it over multiple stages. Depending on the situation, you probably don't even want this to last over multiple stages, especially the color affinity. 2 times color affinity is good, but there's a lot higher color affinities that you can achieve these days. The 1.3 chain boost over multiple turns, that probably might be a really key effect that he has. Obviously, the slot changing is really good. He's still a damage dealing special, but to be honest, they really needed to add a lot more to this guy. He currently doesn't see too much play now because there are so many characters that can kind of just do what he does, or just you'll get yourself in a situation where you can't really fit him on your crew, unfortunate as that is. So unfortunately, this is definitely one of the most underwhelming level limit breaks because they really didn't change that much. They basically upped the numbers and that was it. So unfortunately, Cracker received a pretty terrible deal for his level limit break. Neko's is pretty good, Inu's is solid, and then V2 Mihawk and V2 Zora definitely have some nice additions to their kits that's going to make them a little bit more usable in content. But that's going to wrap it up for me. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. Which of these characters did you like the most? To be honest, I actually had a lot more fun reading through last month's level limit break with very interesting characters like Magellan and Judge, and those additions were actually really nice and neat. But these ones, a little bit underwhelmed. So I'm hoping that next month's level limit breaks are a little bit more exciting to read through. But that's going to wrap it up from me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did, make sure to leave a like. If you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.